Welcome to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, founder of the Reiki Business Collective and creator of the Build Your Reiki Business program, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Greetings, welcome, and thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. It's Christian Stone, so excited and honored to have you, so thank you so very much. In this episode, we are reflecting on the year in our Reiki business. In this episode, I'm sharing with you some ways that I close out the year in my Reiki business and some end-of-year reflections that you may want to consider in your Reiki business as well, and indeed in your life too. And so the points of reflection and the ways of closing out the year that I am going to share with you are things that you can do in your own personal life, whether you have a Reiki business or not. And so these tips, these reflection points are great for business and personal life as well. When we come to the end of a year, for some of us, it's an exciting time. We're ready to turn the page on a new chapter, ready to start fresh, and feel excited for what comes next, for the planning, and for the blank slate of a new year. Sometimes we are ready to do away with the current year and ready to get on with the new. And sometimes we might greet the New Year festivities with dread, with a sense of, oh no, I hate this time of year, hate the whole hubbub of just turning the page on the calendar, and what's the big deal? Well, whether you get excited for the calendar turning, the planner planning, the resolutions and goals, or you don't get too excited, don't feel so shiny and happy about it, this episode will encourage you, no matter where you are on that spectrum when it comes to the new year and our Reiki business. For me, I've often gotten excited about the turning of the new year and a sense of possibility at the visioning and the planning and the goal setting. But this episode is not about goal setting. Actually, I do have an episode on that. I'll drop that link down below. But it's rather offering some ways to reflect at this time of year, whether you are excited or not so excited. So my number one way to close out the year is with gratitude. The number one way that I like to close out the year is with gratitude. And so for our Reiki business end of year reflections, the very first thing that I encourage doing is going over the year and listing down the things that you are grateful for throughout the year. Now, of course, I do this in my personal life as well as my Reiki business life, but I will make a list of the things that I'm grateful for. This could be a simple list of 10 things. I recommend at least 10 things, but you may have more than 10 things that you find you are grateful for, and so you can just keep going with your list. But I like to list out things that I'm grateful for. So on my list of things that I'm grateful for in my Reiki business in 2025 is all of my awesome clients and students. I'm grateful for the summit and an awesome summit that we had in September and all of the lives that were impacted through that summit, all of the transformation that took place with that summit. I'm grateful for creating the Reiki Business Blueprint this year and the amazing impact that low-cost, affordable program has created, I'm grateful for another year of being in business. Because, of course, we never know what might happen on our journey. We never know where we might be a year from now. Of course, I expected to be here a year ago, and I expect to be here a year from now, but we never know how life may turn out, and things may indeed look different from how we expect them to when we come to the end of a year. My number 2 recommendation for closing out the year in our Reiki business is to create or revisit your mission statement. Now, for years before I was a Reiki business owner, I would create a mission statement, a personal mission statement. And so for me, it was normal and natural to do this in my Reiki business. And it's something that I encourage the students in my Build Your Reiki Business program to do. As a matter of fact, there's a whole training on it because it is an impactful thing to do. It gives our Reiki business direction. A personal mission statement gives our lives direction. And if you're like, oh, mission statement, that sounds too businessy, don't worry. You can always simply reflect on your values. So your Reiki business values and your personal values, because a good mission statement is founded on our values. And whether we have a business or not, knowing what our values are and getting clarity on those is really helpful for our lives. And knowing what matters and knowing the direction that we want to go in. I find that knowing our values makes it a lot easier to navigate life's challenges. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying that we won't have challenges if we just know our values, but what I am saying is that when we have a question that comes up in our lives, we're at a fork in a road and we're wondering which direction to go, knowing what our values are is really important. I had this experience in my Reiki business back in 2017. I was looking at properties to purchase for a wellness center kind of space, or even just a space where I could have a shop and offer classes, workshops, and those kinds of things. And I was reviewing a property, seriously considering purchasing it. But when I reflected on my values, one of which is freedom, I realized that having a crystal shop was not a match for my personal values. And so focusing on, reflecting on my values helped me to realize that purchasing this space was not in alignment with my values, and that ultimately it was not going to work out. So few, disaster averted. I actually have a podcast episode on values. I'll drop that one down below as well. My number 3 recommendation for closing out the year in our Reiki business for our end of year reflections is to clear, clean, and release. So I recommend, first of all, doing some clearing. Getting rid of what no longer serves us, what is no longer a fit for us, again, in our personal lives and our Reiki business. When it comes to my end-of-year reflections, I end up doing double duty on them because I want to focus in on my Reiki business and my personal life. So I'll make a list of things I'm grateful for throughout the year in both my Reiki business and my life. I'll consider my values in my Reiki business and my life, which of course, overlap and align. Things like love, compassion, respect are the same for me in business and in life. But so then I will clear, I will clean, and I will release in my Reiki business and my life. So I recommend doing some cleaning, doing some clearing to help energetically prepare for what's to come, for the newness of a new year, and to energetically release the old year. And so this to me in my life looks like a few different things. First of all, it looks like getting rid of 3 things that no longer serve me. So I recommend getting rid of 3 physical things that no longer serve you in both your Reiki business and your life. Now, of course, you can get rid of a whole lot more things, but I recommend at least 3. For my Reiki business, this often looks like digital things, so files that I really need to let go of. Maybe for you in your Reiki business, it's time for a new table, and maybe this is a great time to release that old one and bring in a new one. Whatever it might be and whatever it looks like, what's important is that you are freeing up that space to welcome in newness. I also like to do a cleaning ritual in which I will do some deeper cleaning in my space, in my home, definitely in my office area when it comes to my Reiki business. Maybe your Reiki space could use some cleaning and clearing. And I like to set the intention when I do this cleaning ritual of welcoming new energy, being ready for the newness and for new energy, and releasing what no longer serves, releasing and clearing the energy. I even like to do a space clearing, and this is something that I do every new year, every turn of the year to welcome in new energy. I will do it at some times throughout the year as well, not as frequently, but definitely always at the new year. I do a full-on space clearing in my space, in my home, and for my Reiki business as well in my office space. Now, there are plenty of ways to do a space clearing. I have an article on it that I'll drop down below, but the way in which I like to do a space clearing, I do a multi-layered clearing of my whole home, and you can use this for any kind of space, your Reiki space, your office space, whatever kind of space it might be. But the way that I do a space clearing is that I will start at the door. So either the front door, the back door to my home, or the door of your Reiki space. And I first start with drumming or a singing bowl, tingsha, or some kind of noise making. Even clapping works for this, in order to break up the energy, in order to get the energy moving. And so I will maybe drum my drum from the floor up. I always move from the ground up and move from the right of the door around the room in a clockwise direction. And I'll drum or ding the bowl or clap. Use the tingsha is typically what I use, starting at the ground and moving up and moving to the right at all times as well. That gets the energy moving and flowing, and I'll go the whole way around the space in a clockwise direction to the right until I am back at that door. Then, second layer, I will use incense, sage, and again move around the room in the same way that I did in that first layer. To the right, clockwise, starting from the ground and moving upward. Now, when I say moving upward, I mean raising my hands and moving upward. So drumming the drum in an upward direction, dinging the bell in an upward direction, clapping in an upward direction. So I'll do that second layer, that second pass, second phase around again, back to the door. Third phase, I use Reiki. And so I will draw symbols on the walls. I will send Reiki around the room, around the space, again, moving always in that clockwise direction. Now with Reiki, I don't actually start at the bottom and Reiki the bottom and then Reiki the top. I just offer Reiki to each wall or corner or whatever I might be facing. Now, if you're interested in learning more about how I do a space clearing, that's just a general outline. I have much more detail in that article down below. You can check that out. But always, intention setting is important when we do these kinds of rituals and actions to clear away the old and make way for the new. And so number 4, I encourage considering doing some kind of ritual to end the year and to welcome in the new year, to bring in new energy, and importantly, to set your intention for the new year. Rituals do not have to be elaborate, though they can be. Rituals do not have to be long and drawn out, though they can be. My space clearing ritual is a ritual, and it's kind of an elaborate one, but a ritual can be as simple as lighting a candle and blowing it out. But I recommend conducting some kind of ritual just to help signal that you are ready for newness. Ritual is a powerful trigger to the brain. Ritual signals change, and it signals change energetically and to the universe and to our own physiology in terms of our brain waves. And so conducting some kind of ritual is helpful, I believe, because it's all about the intention. It's all about setting the intention for what you want to welcome in your Reiki business, for what you want to release from the year, and in our own lives as well. You know, as Reiki business owners, our lives are very closely linked to our Reiki business. You know, of course, we're often encouraged to separate ourselves from our business, to not be our business, especially in a legal sense and a financial sense. But let's admit that when we are Reiki practitioners starting and growing a Reiki business, there's a lot of us in our business. There's a lot of who we are, our visions and dreams, our fears and challenges. We, as humans, as people, are connected to our Reiki business, are linked with our Reiki business. And so let's admit that there's a lot of overlap with our personal lives and our business lives when we are Reiki business owners. And so when I do my end of year reflections, I have to admit that, yep, I can do it for my personal life and my business life. And I got to admit, there's a lot of overlap. So how do you end your year in your Reiki business, in your personal life? What are your end of year reflections? Do you even not do them at all and you can't stand them? That's great too. But no matter how you end one year and start the next, I'm of course sending so many blessings and best wishes for your personal life and your Reiki business. And of course, you are welcome to grab the free Reiki Biz Kit full of Reiki business information at reikibusiness.com/Reiki Reiki Biz Kit. And of course, you are welcome to join us in the Reiki Business Collective Facebook group and tell us all about how you close out the year in your Reiki business. That link is down below. I'm sending so many blessings and best wishes to your end of year reflections and your new year in your Reiki business. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend. Learn more about the Build Your Reiki Business program at standingstoneshealing.com/build. Sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business.